We saw your post about the news released regarding the cause of autism. Does this mean we should never take these things? And what alternatives do pregnant women and children have?
The headlines, the cause of autism, is the part of the problem is how the media spins everything.
Do you still agree that eating salmon every day for the health benefits outweighs the risk of getting parasites?
The dirty truth about salmon. Is it just filled with worms and parasites? Should you be avoiding it like the plague?
I have been seeing a lot of changes happening in the news about fast food. Things like McDonald's investing $200 million in regenerative farming.
Is McDonald's going to be a regenerative farming fast food company now? What's our thoughts on this? What's up and welcome to the Art of Being Well. I have some exciting news. Every Ask Me Anything episode, guys, we're giving away free healthy stuff. We're giving away free signed books, free telehealth consults with the team and I, and what else? Free supplement protocol stacks. Mm-hmm. We have hormone support, gut health support, nervous system support, lowered inflammation. So you could check out the different Art of Being Well supplement line protocol stacks if you want at drwillcole.com. Anyways, for a chance to win, head on over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review The Art of Being Well there on Apple Podcasts. Tell us what you love about the show. You can leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself or take a screenshot of that review and message us on Instagram at Dr. Will Cole. And the team and I go through the messages on Instagram as well as read the Apple Podcast reviews themselves. We'll randomly pick winners and then the team will reach out to you. You can tell us what you want, either the protocol, the telehealth consult, or the signed books. All right. To help us out every Ask Me Anything episode, I pull these two lovely humans out of the telehealth consult rooms.
Drags us out.
Yeah. Not quite kicking and screaming.
And you're going to get a clinical behind the scenes view of how we help people around the world via telehealth and functional medicine. And Andrea and Emily, what's up?
Hello.
So you all submit your questions. We have hundreds and hundreds, thousands, I would say thousands and thousands of questions that you write in. Thank you. We've recently kind of did something really fun and exciting on the Ask Me Anything episodes, and you can leave me a voice message and I will play your voice message with your question on the Ask Me Anything. To do that, so we're transitioning that sort of process between emailing and voice message, voice recording. So to submit your voice message question, your burning health question, go to speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. Again, that's speakpipe.com/Dr. Will Cole. And it's super easy. Just press record and send it up. And then we'll get to as many of your burning health questions that we can in the Ask Me Anything episodes. It could be about your own health issues that you're looking to optimize, a study that you saw in the sort of clinical nutrition healthcare world. It could be a trend that you saw, wellness trend you saw on social media, our hot take on pretty much anything functional medicine, wellness, nutrition, food, health sciences, all the things. So when I jump in, who wants to do the first
let's jump
question?
I'll go first. All right. So our first question is from Amanda, and we're going to play that.
Hello, Dr. Will Cole. I'm a huge fan of your show. I just had a quick question about eating salmon. So we all know the health benefits of eating salmon regularly, but we also know that salmon is a huge source of parasites. So would you still agree that eating salmon every day for the health benefits outweighs the risk of getting parasites? I'm a little confused because I feel like these are two conflicting ideas. Thank you.
All right. What's the dirty truth about salmon? Is it just filled with worms and parasites? Should you be avoiding it like the plague? What's our take on it? All right. So what's the science say around it? Let's not be fear-mongering. Let's look at the context and nuance of this, the relative risks and the benefits to it, right? And make a personal choice from that. So it is true that salmon and fish as a whole can be a source of different parasites. So we need to break down the top parasites and worms just to gross you out a little bit.
Do I actually want this though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you'll ever eat fish again the same way. I don't
my
think
gosh.
I think
there's
we've
no
seen-
going back
Well,
Yeah.
here's the truth.
once you know.
If the amount of poop pictures that we've seen with potential parasites and
She
things
had
like
to
this,
go there. She opened
I
up.
don't think that this is going to phase me.
No, and I will say
Okay,
this.
you're right.
Let me preface this. I will still eat salmon. I still eat fish.
I
but
love salmon.
I love salmon too. So we're not shading salmon. This isn't like a vegan diatribe against salmon. But let's break it down. There are some roundworms that can be found in the muscle tissue of the fish, often from infected prey like the krill. So the fish eat the krill, and the krill is infected with the worm. What are we talking
I'm
about?
sorry,
Sam is dying right now.
Our one of our
She's on our patient experience
team is in the room to help us with all the electronic setups. And I'm sorry if you're looking at Emily and I's faces right now. We are trying not to laugh because Sam looks like she's gonna crawl out of her skin before you've said anything beyond roundworm.
Yeah, so hey, we have sorry, Sam. Sorry. You're never gonna look at sushi again the same way after this. So we have some nematodes, roundworms, basically. We have tapeworms.
Nematode sounds way better than
Yeah, it's
roundworm.
a nice, Latin.
That sounds like a pet.
Nematode. You don't want this pet. Some people may. Some flatworms again, and the larva can be in the flesh. Other parasites can form these white cysts in the muscle, causing what they call milky flesh in the post-mortem degradation. There can be spiny-headed worms in the intestines of the fish, less common in fillets. So what's the prevalence of this? How common are these parasites and worms and little there's like tiny little
Let's keep moving.
gnats on lice. There's fish lice. Okay. So the nematodes, like the roundworms, here's the deal. It can cause symptoms like an acute infection of the parasites, can cause abdominal pain, nausea, allergic reaction. A 2020 study found that there was a 283-fold increase in this roundworm prevalence in fish over 40 years, raising raw seafood risks. See, the key word there is raw. Okay? That's a lot. Now, what is it? Is it climate change? Is it the destruction of what we've done to the ocean? We have done so much destruction to the ecosystem.
Farm
Fish.
versus wild?
This is wild.
Oh, this is wild.
This is mainly wild. I'll get to the between wild caught and farm raised in a
Sorry.
moment.
I'm getting ahead.
You're getting ahead of me.
I'm getting
Let's
ahead.
slow down a little bit. We're talking about worms. Number 2, we have this tapeworm larva. Acute infection can cause B12 deficiency, which we
See regularly.
impacts methylation and lots of things. Intestinal issues, of course. Research links it to raw Pacific salmon consumption, with cases
not
reported
Atlantic.
in Japan and the United States. A 2009 PMC study looked at this and kind of found those numbers. Okay, so what's the incidence of this? It's relatively rare as far as reported cases. Let's just say that. There's probably
many.
significantly more unreported cases, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because people just have digestive problems and we normalize the weirdest stuff.
Oh, stomach ache.
Yeah,
a little bit of
Or
diarrhea.
it's a low
Nothing
grade
weird.
and it's not an acute infection.
Yes,
it's sort of a chronic low grade issue. It's rare as far as fewer than 100 cases per year of the roundworm per CDC data, but rising because of sushi trends. So more and more people are eating sushi. It's sort of democratized. The levels of these parasite infections are higher in Japan because of that raw fish consumption. Okay. So what is our take? Do we want to be eating worms? Are we getting the worms? Cooking and freezing does a lot to kill off the worms. So I feel like the benefits, without a doubt, my position is, we'll talk about third-party testing, what's possible today. It's not perfect. I'm not super impressed by it, but I think something's better than nothing as far as looking for these sort of things, as well as heavy metals and other environmental components, both man-made with the heavy metals and biotoxins like parasites that can impact the body. But my only concern would be raw fish that's consumed, because the cooking and freezing is really doing a lot. I think that having the long chain omega-3 fatty acids, I think getting the clean protein is going to be, the benefits way outweigh the potential of is that worm really surviving the freezing and the cooking? I don't think that it is. Now, does that mean that I never would eat sushi? I don't particularly eat a lot of sushi, and when I do, I have Wagyu steak.
It's not even sushi. It's meat over rice.
I had sushi this weekend. What? That makes me sad. I love
Do you
sushi.
feel a little bit of a gurgling in the stomach?
No,
Do you see any worms coming out of your ears and your nose?
I feel great.
Okay.
But I love that you're bringing up the freezing too, because we think of the cooking automatically, but we talk a lot about freezing too, because even when we do
histamine,
the histamine, right? So if you're like purchasing it and getting it frozen right away, right?
Yeah.
Something like that, or even like with organ meats, we've talked about this before too.
Yeah, we make them into like almost real whole food supplements.
Yeah, like
kind of
chips.
If people don't want to just eat it or mix it with their foods,
Yeah.
they can freeze it. If you freeze it for about 2 to 3 weeks,
it's like ice cube chips.
yeah, it will kill off.
What if it, I don't know, does the study say this, and it may not, what if it's frozen and then used raw?
Ooh.
Well, I would assume that I haven't seen any data on that, but I would assume that the freezing does play a role in the safety
Kind of like
it.
what we're talking about with the organ meat. So
Yeah.
like obviously if you're getting it fresh.
Yeah.
But
The United States FDA mandates parasite destruction via freezing for raw fish. So they really feel like, for the most part, it's dramatically decreasing the risk factor with freezing.
Okay.
But there's no third-party testing for all brands across the board. So here, a 2021 study found that self-reported farm data underestimates parasites. And that's what I kind of thought too. This is dramatically underestimated, but we don't want to overcorrect and be hyperbolic and fear-mongering either. I think the truth, as it is most of the time, is somewhere in the middle. And we don't want to gaslight people who feel like they have parasites, and or nor do we say it's everybody should fear fish and they should live under a rock and just eat soy and live their life. So here's some certifications, some standardizations that's within the seafood world. There's the Aquaculture Stewardship Council. This is farmed salmon. Now, let me break this down. The data that I have seen is that farmed salmon is dramatically safer because of the controlled environment, which is very juxtaposed. It's counter to what the advice has historically been within the health and wellness world.
Because of the nutrient component.
Because of the the fact that the fish could live the life and not be fed corn and soy, which they are feeding fish kind of things that fish don't normally eat, just like factory farmed with cows, right? I think that the industry's really evolved over the years, is that they really have improved. There's better quality farm raised options out there, which I do tend to think there's some benefits to it. And this is one of them, is that they're not getting these fish lice, they're not eating krill that are infected with the parasites. There's better control and management versus that random salmon that's just wandering around the Alaskan Sea eating all the parasites in the world. Who's looking at that?
I don't know why the lice grosses me out more than even just like the worm or the parasite. But so here's a question then for you. As someone who loves sushi, raw fish sushi, should I look to, because I would make sushi. We make sushi at home too, right?
You're so cultured.
It's not very often. Maybe like once or twice a year. Okay. So yeah, I don't think that high of me. But so should I get good quality farm raised salmon then?
I would say there's an argument for that. So let's break down these certifications, okay? And you can make the choice. Let me know your thoughts after this. So the ASC certification is farm salmon, third-party audited farms, monitor health quarterly. Some of the brands are Maui, MOWI, Cermak, Grieg, it looks like Grieg seafood. They test for sea lice counts. They limit increased 2022 to 15 to 30 grams per fish. So they still allow some sea lice. A general disease parasite screening via a PCR test, but inconsistent for internal worms. So it's more like, what does it look like on the surface? The Marine Stewardship Council, this is the MSC certification. This is in wild salmon, and they look at sustainability audits. Alaskan wild brands like Vital Choice, it uses this certification. There's visual inspections during processing, no routine parasite testing. It relies on the FDA's freezing mandate for raw sales of fish. There's the Seafood Trust Eco-Certified that looks at farmed. Again, they track parasite numbers in farms, but self-reported data shows bias and underreporting. So 20 to 50%, it's saying, of the sort of underreporting.
So if they're reporting 20%, it could be up to 70%.
Yeah, it's like not. It's based on the honor system, I guess.
Wow.
And then the RSPCA assured is farmed. Huon aquaculture in Australia uses this certification, includes parasite monitoring, but limited again to external issues like sea lice. So again, it makes sense if you think about it, because how are you going to go and open every fish up and look at the worms within its muscles?
Especially if you're selling whole fish and you're not doing fillets. It's like...
Yeah. And that's that point. The fillet tends to be caught maybe more because it's at least been cut up to some degree.
Yeah. Can you visually see sea lice? I didn't look up any pictures of this.
Sea lice, I haven't seen that, but I have seen quite a bit of, like, on social media. It is wild. The people grabbing and pulling the worms outside of their fish. And
if this comes up on my Instagram now because of you.
Is your phone close by? Yeah, it is actually. It's right there with SpeakPipe. Yeah, sorry, guys. So at the end of the day, I feel like I now just rain on everybody's like fish
You
parade.
did.
I'm still going to eat fish.
But cooked.
But cooked.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make my sushi cooked from now on.
Yeah.
I don't think...
Or go for Wagyu steak. I love Wagyu.
Yeah, I like a steak sushi roll.
I love that you... And can't forget your avocado rolls.
Avocados. Look, I get it. It is like the most non-sushi thing within sushi. But it's still, it's still authentic. And they love preparing it for me. I mean, I think they appreciate the fact that I like Wagyu steak.
I like cooked salmon just as much as I like raw salmon and sushi. So I think I'm just going to go for cooked.
I even use canned tuna.
Yes.
Like when I'm making.
Yeah.
Which is cooked.
Yeah.
So you make some too.
I do.
See, we make sushi. You don't. What's wrong with you?
Guys, sorry. Never. Anyway, so that's... I guess to answer the question is I would have it be cooked. I think the benefits outweigh the drawbacks when it's cooked and frozen. And the FDA is doing a lot. And that's why the cases are, while underreported, no one's going to debate that, it is not something that is a mass problem in the United States with the FDA's freezing mandates and safety thresholds where we do have it. In Japan, because of the sushi consumption, it seems to be higher because of that.
Yeah, and the one thing with parasites that's really hard that we've even seen from a clinical perspective is that they're hard to find on labs.
Oh yeah, that's a great point, is to tie it into what we look at for telehealth patients.
So this is something we do ask patients if they're consuming. When you're thinking pathogens, parasites are a part of that, and we do have to ask them if they consume a lot of raw fish, and it is something that is notoriously hard to find on a lab. You can do GI mapping, collect a bowel movement, you can do blood work, look for that pathogen antibody response, but a lot of times you're going off of symptoms as well, but it can look like something else. It's just hard. So I think one of those things that I think people will come to us and they're like, just tell me if I have a parasite. And I'm like, we may not be able to find it on a lab. We may have to just use context and look at your current case.
Well, sometimes they show up later, right? After we've done a lot of work. We've broken through
some biofilms. We've been able to help the body clear things more effectively. The body's under less stress. We can see killing some of this stuff off. You do see a lot more. It definitely gave me pause. Kind of sad. It definitely makes me question every grocery market sushi that I've ever bought. That's
not gonna happen.
Yeah, but Wegmans.
Yeah,
if you're not familiar with the Wegmans, it's the best grocery store that's ever existed.
It's overrated in my opinion.
Honestly, why are we friends?
I don't know. I don't know. It's cool.
Insulted.
It's nice, but you guys would swear it's Air One. It's not.
But you don't like sushi, and they have all of their sushi is gluten free.
Yeah.
Well, you have cared about so many less things so passionately, and I know,
you. And that's why I'm supporting you.
The first time,
this is the first time I've even said it.
It's not the first time.
Maybe the second or third.
The first time you took me to Uniqlo, it was like this whole world. Emily, you have to see this store. Where were we? Disney Springs?
I like affordable clothing.
They weren't listed on our lower PIFA clothing, that's for sure.
Just support my Wegmans love.
They have organic clothing.
Anyways, our love of Wegmans.
Look, I very rarely come out hard against Wegmans. I like Wegmans. Don't get me wrong. I would go there if I lived close to one. I'm just saying, You guys play it up like it's like.
And there's no playing it up. It's fantastic. You just don't
Okay,
understand.
so you get some parasite in sushi. Yeah. It's okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, it's not like I don't work here, so it's not like I can't address the parasite.
We're going to walk through forgiveness after this session.
She's still going to have the sushi, and she's going to live on parasite cleanses.
Literally, I'm going to be like adding diatomaceous earth to every single thing that I drink for the rest of my life. Oregano
oil. One more cleanse. We've done a million
together.
So.
I'll just
Uva Ursi.
Yeah. If you do want to know what you can incorporate into it, if you are consuming.
Yeah, why don't I'll take a binder every time I have sushi.
There you go.
What? That's a great plan, right?
Does that help with sea lice?
Stop.
All right, next question. This one is from Danielle.
Hello, Dr. Will Cole and team. I wanted to ask about HLA B27. So I have this, I'm going to call it a gene variant because I've heard you talk about HLA gene variants. And I just want to know what your take on what that means is. Years ago, I had found something out about my lungs, and so I had to go and get there was nodules on my lungs. Everyone was very concerned. Thankfully, they did a biopsy on them, and it wasn't anything concerning. But that doctor who did the biopsy did a bunch of blood work, and she came back and told me that I had HLA B27, and immediately was like, you have to look into this. This means that you have ankylosing spondylitis, and it's a big deal with your spine. So for a long while, I went down a rabbit hole of fear. Thankfully now I take care of myself. I regularly work out. I eat good. I don't drink, all the good things. And so, I believe taking care of yourself doesn't make those genes come out, as I've heard from you and multiple other awesome doctors. But I still just wanted to have your take on what HLA B27 means to you within functional medicine.
Okay. So HLA stands for human leukocyte antigen. It's a class of a whole family of different genes that basically they all code for something specific. There's two different classes. There's class 1 and class 2. HLA, the B is the gene. 27 is a specific location of that gene, a specific subset or polymorphism she mentioned, like a gene variant. And it's in that class 1. And then we'll talk about class 2 with the HLA-DR gene variants too. And we look at both of those classes of gene variants within the HLA family. It's basically, it has to do with your immune system's response to foreign invaders, but different biotoxins like bacteria, virus, mold. It is the ability of your immune system to distinguish self and non-self, and to have immune system recognition of this is the body. I do not need to attack the body. This is a virus, bacteria, a parasite, and I need to attack that. These people at these different polymorphisms, these gene variants, their immune system can, if it's triggered, have a tougher time at calming down when it's triggered. So as the crude but I think effective analogy, genetics loads the gun, epigenetics pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
Genetics, depending on the case in the study that you're looking at, the type of health issue that you're looking at, genetics is about a third of the puzzle. Epigenetics, lifestyle, our environment, our actions to some degree, the world that we're living in, makes up about 2/3 of it. So we have to look at that interplay between genetics and epigenetics. Many people can have the HLA-B27 gene variant and have no expressed symptoms. So just because you have the gene doesn't mean that you have a diagnosis. It just means there's a genetic predisposition at that place. It's a perfect storm, an entourage effect of variables that need to be considered. Yes, genes play a role, but it's only, depending on what we're talking about a third. So how prevalent is this HLA-B27 gene in the world? It's about 10% of the population, general population, and about 25% of Northern European people. So that's, there's depending on the type of autoimmune condition you can see, you see certain populations have more autoimmune conditions. These gene variants are lowest in Africans. So you can still see certain autoimmune conditions with people of African descent, but it is less common amongst sort of the sort of white European world. We're seeing an increased risk of that. Our genes haven't changed. This HLA-B27 has been around for thousands and thousands of years. But what has changed is something is triggering environmentally that HLA-B27. So we look at that interplay between genes and our environment every day for every telehealth patient, and we see it high on nearly every person that has some sort of autoimmune inflammatory problem, whether it be ankylosing spondylitis, rheumatoid arthritis, other issues. HLA-B27 specifically associated with, as she mentioned, AS, ankylosing spondylitis, which is an inflammatory skeletal autoimmune issue where if in severe cases, the joint can be completely fused, sort of a bamboo. It looks like a bamboo rod. It can be extremely painful, extremely inflammatory, and there are certainly mild to moderate cases. So I don't want to fearmonger. Many people can have a mild case of AS for the rest of their life and be sore and painful and certainly something to optimize, but it's not always as severe as what I just said. Right. But it can progress to that. And then uveitis as well, like the eye inflammation, is also associated with HLA-B27 and different basically joint inflammation and eye inflammation. Whether you're diagnosed or not, that gene can be associated if people somewhere on this autoimmune inflammation spectrum.
Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on that. We want to look at the genes, but then also what's irritating, what's triggering that gene, what's pulling that proverbial trigger. And then there's a class 2 family of HLA genes that we look at, which is the DR genes that we see a lot with chronic Lyme disease, mold toxicity, people that don't have AS, they don't have these sort of diagnosed, but they have things like chronic fatigue syndrome. They'd have things like persistent brain fog, mast cell activation syndrome, histamine intolerance. So that's all still within the family. Whether you're looking at sort of different classes of HLA gene variants, that can be a piece of the puzzle to understand that bioindividuality of why some people can be exposed to a virus and they heal and they move on and recover. And then some people get exposed to that same virus and it triggers an inflammatory cascade and can't calm down. This is bioindividuality. Genes play a role, a piece of that bioindividuality. And then we have to look at the underlying gut issues, environmental toxins, biotoxins like we're talking about, nutrient deficiencies, and then, of course, chronic stress and unresolved trauma. All of these epigenetic variables can be the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to triggering autoimmune problems.
Yeah. I love, and I know Danielle even brought this up, but I love looking at information like this because I always tell patients that this is going to help empower you, right? How to be preventive, how to support the body, right? You know, Danielle even mentioned that she's doing better things to treat her body better and to just support her better, right? Like this is good information to have. Like it's not doomsday because you have this information, right? Like you said, this doesn't mean you will have these things, and for some people, it may mean that, right? Like, as you said, we have to look at everything that's added to the bucket. So it could mean that, but it also can help you support the body for the long run to be as preventative as possible, but also, you know, not just to manage, but to take authority of your body, right? And like to try to help heal and regain resiliency. It's possible. So,
yeah, some of the things that another analogy that you use pretty regularly, and I use it with patients as well, is that in some ways, these people are almost a signal to those around them that something might not be right as well. It's almost like the canary in the coal mine is what we say. So if you take something like whether it's HLA-B27 or HLA-DR, like these are genetic factors that are being triggered by those epigenetic issues. So it's not that other people aren't just as susceptible to those either chronic infections or biotoxins or whatever that's in the environment. It's just these people are then having a trigger of a gene that makes the symptomatic nature more apparent.
And you're talking mainly with mold. We see this a lot.
Mold is a big thing.
The partner doesn't have these HLA gene variants and they're still living in a moldy home.
Yeah.
And it's still, these are carcinogenic and they're associated with cancer later on in life if you're exposed for long periods of time. So yeah, you may not have the autoimmune gene, but it's still, you're breathing in a carcinogen for decades sometimes.
Exactly. And just because you're not having that early onset gene trigger of an issue doesn't mean it's not something you need to address. I mean, we can even see these things, maybe not as clinical as what we see with mold, but I see this we see this all the time with people who even have glyphosate. I'm like, their detox genes are impaired, their body is triggering these autoimmune responses. And then we start looking and they're like, oh yeah, my husband's obsessed with keeping our lawn green. He sprays it every day. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm telling you, that's another known carcinogen. It's something that can absolutely contribute to
and trigger
autoimmune issues. So to me, it's like, I feel bad because I hate telling someone they're the canary, but it's almost like, well, actually, if anything, in some ways you can look at it as a good thing that you didn't go decades of building this issue in your body and that we can actually address it now and that we're not dealing with this in 30 years when you have 30 more years of accumulation of this.
Yeah.
And so there's, obviously we don't want that for people, but if you want to look on the bright side, your body is giving you a very clear check engine light. Your genes are saying this isn't good for me. And it gives us the opportunity to address it. And that's the cool thing. Even like what you were saying, Em, with Danielle, she's saying her doctor told her, this is what you have. One, that's factually inaccurate. This is, you carry this gene. It doesn't mean you have this disease. It needs to get triggered and your body needs to respond in that way. Secondarily, she's taking control of her life. She's unburdening her bucket as often and as well as she can. And we have many people that carry these genes that live long, healthy lives that can run circles around people who don't carry this gene, but they treat their bodies like crap. And so therefore they're going to have more symptomatic issues. They may have joint pain, but it's not due to this. It's due to the fact that they have inflammation throughout their body because they're living off of things they shouldn't be, or they're exposed to things they shouldn't be. So I love using these labs. I love looking at these labs. I think they're empowering. They do not have to be a death sentence. They are not
a source of fear.
A source of fear. They don't have to roll all of your decision making. They are a piece of your puzzle so that you can optimize your life outside of that. That's what I like about them.
Yeah, beautifully said.
So that's my feelings on it.
That's my story.
That's my story. I like it.
And we love Wegmans.
It's the best store
Don't come
ever.
for me, Wegmans. I would go.
Okay, Wegmans doesn't want you as like a side piece.
Almost just choked on my tea.
Okay.
They know you chose Whole Foods, so
I did.
Yeah, next time I drive up there, I'm not getting you
Whole Foods
anything.
has issues too. I'm not saying. I'm not like a poster boy for Whole Foods, but
Your deliveries would say different.
100%. The delivery drivers know you.
I'm just saying you have to have you have to have discernment. Just because it's at Whole Foods doesn't mean it's healthy. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no one said that Wegmans was the epitome of health. We just said it was a source of joy, okay? You don't have to take that away from me.
Just a source of joy.
We're going to take a little trip. We're going to take a little trip.
Yeah, okay.
You went there one time, and it was after our grandma's funeral.
This is true. Speaking of sushi and Wegmans, doesn't Wegmans have a sushi restaurant in New York City?
Yes, they're known well
their
for their sushi.
Is known. I think they opened up like a Wegmans sushi little.
It's like a classy restaurant in New York.
Was it a classy restaurant? I don't know.
It is. I looked it up.
Oh, well, that's how passionate we are.
Okay, wow. I am correct.
You can take your Wagyu fancy sushi, and I'm not going to say what because I want you to get worms.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyways, next question.
All right.
How did we even get back on that?
No, I think it was me. I think it might have been me.
Okay.
No, it was Emily.
Okay.
It was Emily.
It's me.
I took the
It's me. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
All right. Question. All right. Hi, Dr. Cole. I have been seeing a lot of changes happening in the news about fast food. Things like McDonald's investing $200 million in regenerative farming and Tyson removing high fructose corn syrup from their products. Even with these changes, I love this. It's not like you're going to start recommending these things, right? Would love to hear where you stand on their quality, even with what we think is positive changes.
Okay. So McDonald's, is McDonald's going to be a regenerative farming fast food company now? Is Tyson chicken going to be, serving up some regenerative organic chicken? So what's our thoughts on this? My take on the regenerative farming investment from McDonald's is exciting from supporting an industry that I think is the future for healing the planet and healing the human body.
I agree.
Let's see what will come of it. Let's see what will come of it. But the idea of supporting across many states, investing in meat that is better quality for humans from a nutrient density standpoint, lower use of herbicides and pesticides, better for the soil microbiome, better for the planet, and carbon capture when you have regenerative biodiversity in farms, all good across the board. So I think that's great. Does that take away that it's still fast food with a lot of ingredients that, regenerative farming is not going to change that across the board? But I think it does show that McDonald's, to some degree, is paying attention. And I think it does show, at least to some degree, I would assume, that people voting with their dollars and they're looking at market trends, that this is good from a profit standpoint. This is good to invest in something that people are interested in from a consumer standpoint. So overall, maybe I'm an optimist, but I do think that when you have big titans like this that are looking at areas that we know to be beneficial, let's take the wins where we can get them. And I think that this is definitely can be a win. Does that mean that I'm going to be popping over to McDonald's tomorrow? No. Let's see if they have better options. Maybe they'll have a regenerative I don't even know. The idea of them changing things dramatically, I am cautiously optimistic. But I think for regenerative farmers, I think it's great. Yep. That's really difficult for many of them to make ends meet, to actually even provide for their families. So the idea that they could be invested in and supporting the local farmer that's doing good things and doing right by people and doing right for the planet, I am excited for the farmers.
Yeah, that's a great point.
More than the consumers, of just like supporting people that are trying to do good work.
Yeah,
I love that.
A lot of those farmers are not in it for any sort of money. They're doing it because they're passionate. They care about it. They care about the animals. They care about people. They care about the earth. Like they truly are doing good work.
And I would love to see the USDA really come out at not from like we're talking about corporate private enterprises like McDonald's, but I really would like to see USDA come out and subsidize regenerative farmers, like really put their money, instead of subsidizing these GMO crops, these mass CAFO farms. Can we support regenerative farmers more? Can we give them subsidies? Can we give them money to grow and expand and really allow supply and demand to speak for itself?
Yeah, I love it. Now, I haven't eaten at McDonald's since I was in high school, and I will not say how many decades ago that was at this point.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's for you as well. So I can't even tell you what it tastes like. When people ask me like, oh, don't you miss like a Big Mac? I'm like, I don't even know if I ever had one. But I will say this, when I've looked at we've all seen the memes online. We've all seen the things on Instagram where it's showing like, here's the ingredient list from the 70s and here's the ingredient list now. To me, I'm wondering is McDonald's plan to get back to the basics?
Back to that, right?
Like when their fries were
meat and salt
and tallow
fries and lard.
Yeah. It's like, is that the aim? Are they seeing that that's the trend? That's what people want? That's what the consumer wants?
Remember when Steak and Shake announced it and the tallow? It was massive news.
Yeah.
It's great free PR. I mean, because it just spreads online like wildfire. Yeah. And even if it's not the best quality tallow, you can make the argument.
It's so way better.
Yeah, it's still better than seed oils and other things that they were using. Yeah. So I think we're never going to greenwash this into some sort of massive health food. It's not that.
No.
But it is a move in the right direction.
Yeah. Is it more, are we getting back to more real whole food
less ingredients.
Like,
and then go back to the herbicides and pesticides decrease. You need that naturally, way less, if at all, for regenerative. Certainly for regenerative organic, but regenerative, if it's not organic, there's still going to be some herbicides and pesticides, but way less.
Yeah,
because the soil is healthier. and the animals are healthier.
And even with like Tyson removing that, like am I buying that for my family? No, I'm not. In transparency, I budget accordingly and I invest in small local farms as much as I can. But the one thing that does make me happy is that I know a lot of those foods end up in schools and they end up in my kids' friends' homes. And like the fact that they're removing high fructose corn syrup, is it a health food? No, absolutely not. But it's one less thing that is getting onto the market.
I think they're planning on removing other ingredients too. Like that's just one of the main ones. But I think that they are planning on removing more.
And I feel a bit different with Tyson because it is not, they may have an organic line. I'm not sure.
They do.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's support Tyson with organic options and go organic whenever you have access to if it's within your means. But I would, and maybe this is a hot take that some people are going to disagree with this. I would rather have someone have a Tyson conventional chicken versus an organic cereal that's filled with sugar.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. Like we're not talking like the breaded chicken nuggets that they're selling. We're talking about
like a chicken breast.
Yeah.
That's not organic, but now doesn't have high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
And it's just hopefully just chicken and salt. I would much rather them have that from a clean protein, nutrient density, satiety standpoint versus some empty refined carbs, but it's slapped with the organic label.
Yes,
yeah,
I would agree.
100%. I think, again, when we're talking about real whole food, single ingredient type things, the less ingredients you start putting on that label, the more likely I am to buy it. It's just the way that, and I think that's what consumers are looking at because they're told to read labels, but then they get overwhelmed by the label.
Right.
And so they're like, well, if I don't understand it, then I'm not going to buy it. And that's been a tagline for a lot of people. And I think that's where people are at now. They're just give me what I know and what I can read and what I can understand. And you're right. Because if you put organic in front of that, but you're putting a whole list of ingredients that you don't understand or know.
It's super high in sugar and organic, whatever. You could, if you're picking between that organic cereal and the non-organic cereal, there's arguments for that.
Sure.
But you don't even need to compare it if you're like working on whole foods as much as possible.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. All right.
What's the next question?
Last and final question. I feel like I should have a drum roll. It's not that big, but all right, Dr. Cole. Hey, Dr. Cole, we saw your post about the news released regarding the cause of autism. Does this mean we should never take these things? And what alternatives do pregnant women and children have?
Okay, so I think what they're talking about is the
press release that happened.
The presser they had with HHS Secretary Kennedy, the NIH director, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, Dr. Oz was their head of Medicare, Medicaid, and FDA, Dr. Marty, and President Trump. So I think that the headlines, the cause of autism is the part of the problem is how the media spins everything. I mean, at the time of recording this, it happened recently.
Yes.
So these news pieces are evolving rapidly. So we're recording this in real time. The news broke recently. And what's my take on it? Well, first thing I would say that the press, the media, they were running with it just through leaks and being super negative about it before the press release and press conference even happened.
Yeah.
So I think that is not surprising, but it shows you where the bent is, shows you where the orthodoxy is. And we've never had an HHS that was free to, brave enough to talk about things that's within the scientific literature, but is challenging the orthodoxy. Because let me just, for people that haven't heard this news yet, it's, they came out which they talked about for months that they were going to come out with more data, what the data shows, science without presupposition, science without agenda. What does the data show when it comes to autism? Which, depending on the study that you cite, we can see it. It's tremendously more common today than ever before. Now you can make the argument of if it's better diagnostics, better awareness. It is not just that, especially when you're talking about profound autism with co-occurring conditions. And I think that's part of the problem when anyone like me or Secretary Kennedy or anybody within the functional medicine world talks about autism, they get offended because it's like, no, this is neurodivergence, this is neurodiversity, and this has always been here, and it's just better awareness and diagnostics. Neurodiversity, and I think the conflation of these terms and the whole concept of the spectrum is part of the problem, because what we're talking about here and what we help people optimize their health from is not neurodiversity. It is profound autism with these very severe symptoms in many cases with co-occurring conditions.
That's right.
So neurodiversity is not neuroinflammation.
Yes.
Let's quit conflating the two. One is we're all beautifully, wonderfully unique, and God made us all different, and and that's completely fine. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about really severe, moderate to severe autistic symptoms in these co-occurring conditions. So the press release, the press conference involved everybody that I just mentioned talking about specifically acetaminophen or Tylenol and its association in the scientific literature with linked to increased rates and risk factors of autism. Two studies specifically, a Mount Sinai study just this year in 2025 and a Harvard study. The Mount Sinai was a smaller amount of people, about 1,000 moms, finding that there was about 25 to 40% increase of autism with acetaminophen or Tylenol use during pregnancy. Limitations in that study. It was a small study.
Right.
And we shouldn't conflate causation and correlation. Was it the fever that the mom had that caused the problems, and not the Tylenol itself, right? I mean, that study doesn't completely thread out causation and correlation, but it's compelling data. Mount Sinai, the Harvard study looked at over 300,000. It was a meta-analysis over 10 studies, I think, 300,000 pregnancies, looked at acetaminophen or Tylenol use 2 times or more a week was associated with a 15 to 25% greater risk of autism and ADHD, peaking in the 3rd trimester.
Wow.
There's limitations to that study. It's self-reported data. So it's like the mom maybe not be remembering everything I don't remember everything that I do over months, right? So there can be memory-based reports has flaws. And again, causation, correlation, it doesn't mean fully one shouldn't be conflated with the other. So this was the main, I think, thing that the press conference was centered around. And they also mentioned splitting up the MMR vaccine, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, and not having it combined. They also mentioned, those are the 2 main ones. Oh, and they mentioned the medication, the folinic acid medication.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So that has to do with, it was leucovorin, right? That's leucovorin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when you say it's a medication, leucovorin, it's a patented pharmaceutical folinic acid, folate, which is tied to a lot of research. And look, I've been talking about this for 15 years. Just go to drwillcole.com, type in autism. None of this stuff is new as far as the scientific literature is concerned. Looking at methylation, looking at its interplay between methylation and the immune system, looking at the gut-brain axis, looking at neuroinflammation. And it's a confluence of factors. To say that it's just acetaminophen, there's going to be many moms that are listening to this or heard this news that said, I never took Tylenol during my pregnancy and my child has profound autism.
Yeah.
So I think that the conflation, the overgeneralization that the media ran with, because Secretary Kennedy was very clear, this is not the only variable. This is a potential piece of the puzzle. And we want to be cautionary to everybody to say, because this is the only NSAID that was recommended for years for women. So I think it's completely appropriate to get ahead of it and say, look, you've been told for decades, this was the only pain reliever you could have during pregnancy. And actually, studies show it's linked to an increased risk of autism and ADHD. It's appropriate to say that. But I think the context and nuance can be lost, especially when the president is not a health professional, and I think he can run and go off script sometimes. That I think that and then the media wants to poke holes whenever they can.
Right.
So I think that it makes it difficult sometimes from a messaging standpoint, and leaves a lot of parents left to be like, well, if you're pregnant, you probably have a lot of worry and shame. And what the heck do I do with this information? Because there wasn't necessarily clear guidelines. It was just like, don't take Tylenol, spread out your vaccines. And I feel like, look, time will tell. My assumption is, knowing these guys, is that they will come out with better education. That was just a press conference, and we'll see how the implementation of these recommendations through FDA and through the NIH and the HHS, how this is helping people, not just worrying them with all this information. Because, when we go over labs, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
Let alone that, I can imagine when hearing that through the lens of distorted media that are just looking for problems. That would be a perfect storm for a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. I think we need, like you said, we need to not just base it off of the press conference itself, but we need to wait to hear more of the recommendations, the data, the further research. Yes.
What's the action steps out of that press release?
You guys know how I felt when I listened to it.
What did you know? Tell us. People want to know.
So for me,
don't censor yourself. Just say what you're going to say.
Okay. So for me, one of the things that I always look at is presentation of this. And when someone is speaking about something that they clearly don't fully are not talking to people regularly about health things, it took what was really potentially good science and good information that people should have in front of them, and made it look like a fearful thing. I didn't think it instilled confidence. I think it instilled fear. It's frustrating for someone like me who, as a health professional, and you guys, do what I do, but you may feel differently than I do. I spend 10 hours a day trying to talk people off a ledge about their health, for the most part, because I want to empower them. I want them to feel confident. I want them to feel like this information is good. But I typically am, when I'm doing that and I'm presenting them with a problem, I'm presenting them with solutions or understanding or options, or there's workaround. There's something that I'm doing to help them overcome that. That went sideways, in my opinion. It really did. I think that there could have been a better way to present that did not. I'm not talking about Senator Kennedy or Secretary Kennedy. Sorry, I'm not talking about Secretary Kennedy. I think he did very well. I'm talking about our president walking on stage and saying things that took science and made it newsworthy pieces to twist. And that's what's frustrating to me.
Yeah. I don't fully disagree with you. What I do feel, though, is I feel like we've been begging for this information.
Yeah. But again, it wasn't even
that, to me, I get it.
But it was also talked up like we have an answer. Like, even leading up to this, it was like, we have an answer. We're going to tell you exactly what causes it.
But this is why
you gave me one factor.
This is why I'm saying we need to wait. We need to I think there's more coming. I hope there's more coming. But I'm just saying that I think that we've been waiting. And honestly, there have been a lot of professionals, a lot of researchers who have been even saying this, thinking this. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Secretary Kennedy, have been talking about these kind of things for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it hasn't been heard. It hasn't been brought to attention or light like this. And so I get it. I don't disagree that it didn't land well, but I'm trying to take the meat without the bones.
Yes, but we do this for a living. We can do that.
This for so long. So I would ask everyone else, take the meat without the bones.
But think about the general public. Think about the general public. We can take the meat without the bones because this is what we do.
Should be able to, in my opinion.
You have a heightened nation that has been told for months, we have an answer coming.
Right.
And then they get on there and they're like, you're causing autism with your Tylenol use. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. And I'm sorry, good information to have. Information to have.
It's not enough.
It was not enough. It wasn't presented well. And I think there could have been a better way to do that. And I really hope there's a follow-up. I really hope there's a follow-up. I can take that information now. I'm glad to have that study, can talk to our patients that are pregnant, talk about alternatives, homeopathic things, different things. And I know they mentioned some of this in the press release. I'm thankful that I have that information, but the general public is probably flailing.
But this is what's important, though, is that they are turning to professionals like you, like us, right? And asking the questions. Well, what do we do now, right? And obviously, I know we don't have all of the answers maybe that even they have, but we've got a lot of answers and we've got a lot of things we can do, because do I think, like you said, there are so many other factors that could be involved here. It's not just this one thing, but there are alternatives. There are ways to empower women through pregnancy, to empower parents with their young children, to help them make the best decision for themselves and for their families, that I think people will turn to. So yes, don't just use that press release. Turn to people that are passionate like us, right? I'm not trying to plug us, but at the same time, we've been talking about this for years.
Yeah, but look at what the media did whenever President Trump was even running for president. They lambasted us. They made us look crazy. They called us nuts. They said all this stuff. And then they go on stage and make us look nuts again. And that is frustrating.
Right. But
even if it was freaking true, it made functional medicine look like we are scare tactics, that we are going to fear monger, that we're going to make it seem like everything you're doing is causing your children harm. That is not a way to do it.
We don't need to be frustrated because they're honestly just talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, bring it up because the people who can get off of the news they'll look at the information. They're going to look at the articles. They're going to listen to the podcast. They're going to see for themselves if they become patients. I think Andrea's
point that we are such in a pacified, weak consumption mode that there's no discernment. I mean, people are slaves to the algorithm.
That's my heart. That's my frustration is you're right. And there are going to be people like me who would go and do my deep dive. But I also know that my neighbor who is a nurse is now pissed. And I'm sitting here having to figure out, how do I have a conversation that is not that doesn't tout fear, but just says truth. Let's look at it for the basics.
Well, like I said earlier, the truth is oftentimes somewhere in the middle, and I think that it gets lost, right?
100%.
It's like,
it
the
does
context
get lost.
around this lost. But at least you're having these conversations. I think that's the silver lining. Yeah. And at least we have people within HHS that are willing to actually listen to moms, listen to the women that know their kids and know what their lived experience is, versus gaslighting them for a generation. I think that's a move in the right direction. And what's wild to me is like the media that's so snarky, so smug, so elitist, so negative and contrarian. I would like to, I want to ask the sort of mass like poo-pooing of like the idea that anybody should be looking at the causes, right? Anybody should be even asking.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
What do you think?
Why do they think that there's an increased risk? Why do they think there's an increased rate?
Do you know what they'll say? They say the same thing. It's because there's better testing.
No,
there's better
diagnosis. But I'm saying profound autism with
I'm talking kids that can't speak.
So they're hiding
non-verbal.
It helps. It helps the industry. It helps the sick care system to lump everyone together.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is when we're talking about profound autism and an increased risk of that. It is not due solely to better diagnostics and better awareness. Certainly, that's a part of it. No one actually asks the question.
Yeah.
But researchers are asking the question.
Which is great.
Harvard and Mount Sinai. So these are not some woo-woo doctor, naturopath in the backwoods of Alabama. This is
don't hate on Alabama.
I don't know why I came for you, Alabama. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying there isn't room for growth on both sides. Yes, if the researchers are asking the hard question, let's get the best people we can to represent the work that has been done. But we also cannot cater to the weak consumer mind either. If you will only get your source from the news,
75% of the people who are watching that.
But you look at generations then, right? We need to create stronger consumer minds. We have to push for that.
We have our leaders present things in a better manner.
I think both.
I think it
happen.
has to be both. If you're only getting your recommendations from the news outlets, you're doing it wrong and you need to wake up.
100%.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen
This is
overnight.
not going to happen. This is why this is our responsibility.
You have to say it has to come from both sides. It cannot just be catering to the weak mind.
100%. But at the end of the day, how can you even get them to want to listen to you if all they're doing is causing fear?
It's both. I don't disagree. It's both. But we cannot just cater to that side.
Well, you are under the assumption that people can think for themselves. How many times have we had people that walk in here that cannot think for themselves?
But then what? Because I believe it's possible.
We bred a populace of people that are
thinking
generations.
Pre-programmed narrative, and they cannot read through the noise of the media.
That's my point. And so how can I break through to those people? You break through with love, compassion, understanding, education. You don't break through with fear. And so for me, that's our failure. Our failure was not the science. The science is actually the good thing. Our presentation of it was the failure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. There's no disagreement.
Yeah. And I think it's a both and here. I think we do need to be better discernments. How do you do that? How do you unplug people from their phones and start to think for themselves again?
By giving them an alternative way, by presenting and being someone that I want to be a source. If someone comes to me for advice, any advice, if you're a crappy friend and you're unkind, unlistening, you talk over that person and you don't listen to them, you're not going to keep going to them for advice. And so that's how you reach people. You reach them by being approachable, not placating, approachable. This is what we're talking about. And some of this stuff wasn't approachable. And that to me is the problem. I want to be a friend that can give advice and not tell you what you want to hear, but at least tell you in a way that you know can be received in love, not in anger.
I talked about this very same thing on a different matter, but kind of about autism with Dr. Jolene Brighton. So go back and listen to my conversation with Dr. Jolene Brighton on The Art of Being Well and me on her podcast, because we talked about the communications. And we were like, we should be on the comms team there, because it's like good science that isn't theirs. Yeah. It's Mount Sinai, Harvard. It's all these big academics. Right. But like the communication to the, like translating the science to the populace, knowing that the media is going to spin with everything.
That's my point.
People to do it. Yeah.
That's all. That's my entire point, is that you can change people, but you change them with truth, and you change them with kindness, and you change them with love. You don't change them with placating them, but you also cannot center everything around fear and expect to get a good result out of it. You just can't. And so that's my frustration, is that like you took science that was good, things that I could stand on and talk to patients about, and you made it something it didn't need to be. Yeah. And that's where my frustration
and I think also too was kind of they doubled down a lot on the acetaminophen, but they said like one or two sentences about, we know this is multifactorial, it's not just this. Right. But the headlines and I would say the overemphasis of the press conference was just about acetaminophen.
Yeah.
And I think that again, when you're looking at it, is a perfect storm, genetics and epigenetics.
Yeah. Right.
And it's not going to be just one epigenetic factor. It's going to be several, and it's going to be bio-individual. It's not going to be the same.
Right. You should have presented it.
Next time.
100%.
I'm available.
100%.
Just give me a heads up and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we landed a little bit of spicy conversation. I like it.
This is an Emily and I's normal conversation.
This is called a patient team meeting. So anyways, guys, if you want to learn more about our clinical work, the Telehealth Center, tons of free resources. Like go and use the search engine there. Type in autism, type in gut-brain axis, type in vagal tone, type in autoimmunity, type in everything that we talked about here. There's going to be articles that are further reading about these topics.
That are also linked to studies and science.
Linked to PubMed. You can look at the context of it. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.